You're doing something you believe makes you stand out, but it's quietly working against you. It doesn't look wrong. In fact, it feels right. You speak more, you explain yourself, you try to be noticed, and you try to leave an impression. But something subtle happens. The more you try, the less people actually pay attention. And it's not because you're not good enough. It's because attention doesn't work the way you think it does. There's a hidden rule most people never learn. The people who stand out the most are usually doing less, not more. Not louder, not busier, not trying harder. And once you see this clearly, you'll start to notice how the very effort you believed would make you visible might be the exact thing keeping you unseen. Most people believe standing out is about adding something. More effort, more words, more visibility. But what actually creates presence is often the opposite. It's not about doing more. It's about removing what weakens you. The extra reactions, the unnecessary explanations, and the constant need to prove something. And without realizing it, people fill space in ways that reduce their impact, while those who seem naturally noticeable are often just more selective. Not in what they do, but in what they choose not to do. And once you start seeing this pattern, your understanding of presence begins to shift. The first thing people get wrong about standing out is that they believe visibility comes from adding more. More talking, more reacting, more explaining. But every time you add something unnecessary, you reduce clarity, because attention is limited. And when you overload it, people stop processing what matters. They don't remember the extra effort, they remember the feeling of noise. And this is where most people lose presence without realizing it. Not because they lack value, but because they dilute it. While those who appear more noticeable are often just more precise. They say less, react less, and allow what matters to stand on its own without interference. Another subtle mistake is the need to respond to everything. Every comment, every reaction, and every small shift in the environment, as if ignoring something means losing control. But in reality, reacting too often signals the opposite. It shows that your attention is easily pulled, and people can sense that, even if they don't consciously think about it. While those who stand out tend to have a very different relationship with attention. They don't chase every signal, they don't fill every silence, and they don't feel the need to correct every perception. Because they understand that presence is not built through constant engagement, it's built through selective attention. And what they choose to ignore quietly shapes how others perceive them and how seriously they are taken. Most people believe presence is something you project outward through confidence, expression, or constant engagement. But what actually shapes how others perceive you is often what you choose not to do. Not every thought needs to be spoken, not every moment needs to be filled, and not every reaction needs to be visible. Because when you constantly express everything, you remove space for others to interpret you. And without that space, there is no depth. Everything becomes immediate and predictable. While those who naturally stand out allow a certain level of restraint. They don't rush to reveal everything. They let moments pass without interruption. And in doing so, they create a sense of control and quiet confidence that people can feel, even if they can't fully explain it. Another reason people fail to stand out is because they confuse activity with impact. They believe being constantly engaged, constantly visible, and constantly involved makes them more noticeable. But what it often creates is the opposite, a sense of sameness, where nothing feels distinct or memorable. Because when everything is expressed, nothing stands out. While those who carry presence tend to move differently. They don't rush to participate in every moment. They don't feel the need to insert themselves into every situation. And they allow space to exist around them. Small pauses, moments of silence, and a certain level of restraint. It is within those spaces that their presence becomes more defined, more noticeable, and more impactful. Not because they are doing more, but because they are not competing with unnecessary noise. Another mistake people make is believing they need to constantly prove their value. They explain more than necessary, justify their choices, and try to make sure they are fully understood. But the more you explain, the more you signal uncertainty, and people pick up on that quickly. When everything is explained, nothing feels solid. In contrast, people with presence are comfortable leaving things unsaid. They don't rush to defend every point or clarify every detail. They allow their actions to carry weight without constant reinforcement. This doesn't mean they are silent or passive. It means they are selective. They speak when it adds value, and they stay quiet when it doesn't. That restraint creates a sense of confidence that doesn't need to be announced, and over time, that quiet confidence becomes far more noticeable than any attempt to prove it. In the end, what truly makes someone stand out is not what they add, but what they remove. Most people try to build presence by doing more, but presence is often the result of doing less with intention. It is the absence of unnecessary reactions, the absence of constant explanation, and the absence of the need to be seen in every moment. When you remove these things, what remains becomes clearer and more defined. People can sense that clarity, even if they can't explain it. It feels steady, controlled, and real. This is why the effort to stand out often backfires, because it introduces noise where there should be focus. And once you understand this, you stop trying to force attention, and instead, you allow attention to come to you naturally by not interfering with what already has value. Most people never realize that the effort to stand out is often the very thing that makes them blend in. They keep adding, adjusting, and reacting, hoping it will make a difference, but it only creates more noise. The shift happens when you start removing instead of adding. You stop filling every silence, stop explaining every thought, and stop reacting to everything around you. What's left is something much stronger. It's clear, steady, and noticeable without trying. And once you experience that, you understand that standing out was never about doing more. It was about knowing what not to do and having the discipline to leave it out.